Right, YouTube, we are about to embark on the question and answer video that I requested of you. I've had some great questions in. I'm going to look them up on here and just answer them off the bat. I've not rehearsed the answers or anything like that, you know how I work. So let's go to Instagram first. Alright, so the first question I got is by Sladini. Which is a follower of mine on Instagram. A question for the Q&A. Any tips on creating a longer show? I do a lot of card stuff, but I find it hard to combine effects into routines in a way that would make sense. And I asked if he meant a sit-down show or a close-up or a stage show, and he put, I mean like a 1 hour stage show. I rarely get booked to do a longer than close-up show, but on stage it's like 90% of what he does. So he does a lot of stage work. A lot of his work is cards, and he's wondering how to routine it so that it will flow better as a show. My first thing would be, it's very, very difficult to put together a 1 hour all cards thing. Very few people can do it without the camera set up and everything else, but even with a camera set up, it's a lot of card work to fill up an hour. Whenever I do stand-up, I don't actually do any cards at all. I think there's a little bit at the beginning where I just show the difference between sleight of hand and sleight of mind, and on stage I tend to do mind control type stuff because it just plays bigger. With card tricks, essentially you pick a card, I find it's an impossible location, any card, any number. There's sort of so few things you can do with cards that my advice to you, Sladini, would be try to break it up. You know, try to step away from what order of tricks can I put together to make the show interesting, because you'll always be limited by the tricks you know, and so therefore the show you're putting together is limited before you start. The best thing to do is forget the fact that you've got the cards. Just step away from the effects themselves and look at the hour and how you can make it interesting without looking at your effects. That's when I write my show. That's how I do it. I don't look at what tricks I've got and what order would be the best to show people. I write what I feel would be the best show that people would be interested in and what they would want to see, and then how to best achieve that, either with the tricks I know or by coming up with new effects. So first things first, just step away from the effects and look at the whole show. So for example, I try when I'm writing my show, if you imagine a blackboard and the white squares are the tricks. So if you put them in order, trick, 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 you've got your tricks. Now the gaps, the black gaps that are showing between the tricks are called negative space. So in this negative space, it's really important that you put together some sort of line, some sort of link that will make, when people are leaving the stage and going back to their chairs, and before you start the next thing, you've got something to say. You're not just finishing one trick, looking around for the next prop and then coming up with another. You've got to make it flow in the negative space. So those bits in between the tricks are like really important as to how the show will flow, because the tricks themselves will be fine, but the bits in between are when it gets awkward, when you've got performers that haven't really thought through the entire show, they've just looked at the tricks individually. They're the bits where it's like, try really hard to write and work on that negative space to make every trick that you do eventually put in flow really nicely. And also look at like how many people are being used per trick, because when I'm doing my show I try to do like a wave. So I'll have nobody on stage, I'll do something that just the audience can watch, and then I'll come and have like 5 people on stage for something, so do a different kind of image to what they were looking at before. Then I'll go maybe to one person and make it a slightly longer routine, and then go back to 2 people and then back to me doing one. So you don't have like one person come up on stage, choose a card, find it, one person come up on stage, choose a card, find it, repeat, because that gets very repetitive to do. So try and think about how many spectators you can use per trick, and then have that varied, so you've got a bit of light and shade. You know, you've got a big trick with lots of people, then there's one with just you and one person, it's quite intimate, and then you go back to like a nice fun routine that maybe the whole audience need to stand up for, and you can whittle them down to one card. That way, even when people are watching, they've got something to do in the audience. A good tip as well would be to, at the beginning, use everybody in the audience, even if it's to get everyone to stand up, just so you can sit them all down again, by using some sort of magician's choice to narrow it down to one card or something. Yeah, try and get everyone up and sat down at the beginning, because it's a really nice tip. And lastly, if you can put anything in that's not cards, whether it be, coin in hand, guess which hand the coin's in, or a quick mind reading thing, try to break up the cards a little bit if you can. I know cards is your thing, but if you can, try to break up the whole card thing. And if you insist on doing all cards, I suggest you watch someone like Derek DeGardio or Ricky Jay and look at their stand-up shows, and you'll see it's more based around their personality, and then the cards come into play afterwards. But check out Ricky Jay's 52 Assistants. Something like that. It's when he throws the cards into the watermelon on stage. It's a beautiful act, and it will really help you put together your show. Anyway, best of luck with it, and I hope this helps. Alright, on to question 2. Let's have a little look. Now, Lorenko has asked me a bunch of questions, so I'll read through them and answer as many as I can. First of all, this is Crazy Challenges on YouTube. He's also got a bunch of different names. He's Lorenko, but we call him Crazy, and he's a big part of the RV fam. He says, what do you say are the best tips when trying to find a style? Very simply, just in my case, I like to not have to worry about putting on an act. Some people are natural born actors, and for them they can find whatever act they're comfortable with. If you just want to have a style that you're comfortable with, exaggerate your own personality. If, like me, you're a bit of a cheeky chappy, gobby kind of fun bloke, that's my sort of way about doing things. I just exaggerate it. I just make it a slightly bigger version than what I am. That way I haven't got to worry about remembering an act or putting on an accent or whatever. I wear clothes that I would always wear. I say what I would normally say. I just exaggerate it and make it slightly bigger. That way you've got less to worry about, and you can remember your tricks and remember lines that you use in everyday life will come out in your show, and it will all seem very natural. What message, idea do you want people to come away with after watching your show? I've said this in a different video. I don't want people trying to figure out the tricks. I want people just to say they had an amazing time. Even if they can't remember a single trick, I just want them leaving with the feeling of, I had a really good time, I'd love to see that guy again. Not his tricks, that guy. Yeah, so you try and sell yourself with your magic. But that's what I want. I just want people to say they had a good time. What do you think the future of magic will look like? It's trends, isn't it, with magic? It will go from doing this online to the camera stuff, and then it will go back to probably a classic, how Darren took it back to the stage, and then it will go back to TV. TV's died a little bit now. We have David Blaine, and then Chris Angel, and then Troy and Cyril, and all these people with Dynamo. It sort of run its course with the street magic, but that'll have another turnaround. So I think the future of magic will just keep cycling through the themes as each one becomes relevant again. How do you come up with your ideas for your routines? I don't have a process for it. It just sometimes an idea will hit me and I'll run with it, or it's why I'm not a machine like Jay Sankins. I can't just pump out magic, it just happens. Sometimes I'll start a project like Old Props New Handling, which is a project I started where I just took a load of old things and tried to find different ways of presenting those props, and that process come up with Technicolor, but I don't really have a process. Laura and I have just been drawing shapes on each other's backs, so the other one could try and guess what it was, and that came up with that ended up being a big piece on stage. So it's just what life throws you inspiration. You have to just run with it when you get it. What are your inspirations, magic and non-magic? So my magical inspirations are my dad, David Weeks, who was my drama teacher, gave me a lot of tuition and encouragement back at school. He's now Magic Circle hierarchy. David Acer, Peter Nardi, Mark Spellman. It may be David Acker, by the way. I've never known how to say his name. Greg Wilson back in the day. I had a lot of guys who I watched, Leonard Green, Michael Vincent. I just had, basically, if they did a special on Paul Daniels' show, if they did an appearance, it was probably one of those guys. Paul Daniels, obviously. So yeah, magic inspirations are the obvious ones. And non-magic, my dad again. Jimmy Carr. Jimmy Carr's comedy is a big part of how I present myself when I'm doing, say, Lee Evans. So most of my non-magic inspiration have been comedians. Just because, again, I try and make my jokes within my magic off the cuff and witty, and if I've managed to think one up off the head and it works, it becomes script. But yeah, essentially it's all ad lib, and then if something hits, I keep it and it becomes script. So yeah, magicians and comedians, they are my inspiration. And that, Lorenko, answers all your questions. Okay, Cameron Walsh, again, who is I feel like he's a mate because we follow each other on Instagram and we chat quite a lot. His question is, so when you went on Penn and Teller Fall Loss, where did you perform for it and how did you apply? I performed there for the prize for winning. I performed in Las Vegas at the Rio Hotel, so they did their show and I got to close it. Me and Etienne Pradier, on the night I was there, we closed the show with a performance each at the end. Everyone stayed behind to watch. It was really cool. They said they'd film it and didn't, so you have to take my word for us that I did that. But yeah, it was in Vegas at the Rio, and I didn't apply for the first one because I just figured there were so many better magicians out there than me that it would be silly to apply for something like that. They then got in touch with me, thank God. They'd somehow seen my stuff online and asked me to apply, and that's how I got on the first one when I failed. And the second one, I don't know where I saw it. It must have been on just, magician forums, or I can't remember where I heard about it, but the word went round that they were doing Fall Loss auditions, and yeah, I went down and applied. Didn't get that again, so blagged my way onto the show, as you know. But for more details, check the How I Fought Penn and Teller videos. But it basically, the best thing to do is to become part of your local magic circle. Surround yourself with magicians, whether it be in groups on Facebook or just kind of be in amongst it, and then the word will go around when these things come about and you'll hear about it rather than hearing about it too late. So just surround yourself with other magicians and you'll know when to apply for these things. All right, mate. Donovan Powell, who is known as Dr. Don. On Instagram, asked if you could session one session with either Ed Marlowe, Sly Deeney, David Roth or Di Vernon, who would it be and why? And if you don't know, if you're not into classics and magic, you've got Marlowe, who was like a move monkey with cards back in the like all the hard moves. He probably invented most of them. Sly Deeney, who was an absolute master of timing, misdirection, offbeats and all that stuff. Paper balls over the head. David Roth, who's obviously the OG coin guy, and Di Vernon, again, the professor. So with cards. And who would I sit and jam with if I could have one session? For me, it's very, very simple. It's Sly Deeney. You've probably heard if you haven't, have a look at it. I did a theory talk about offbeats and timing and how that's just as important as technique, going hand in hand. And for me, I would just love to learn some of his ideas and thinking on timing, misdirection and offbeats, because he was an absolute master at it, and I know he'd spend the day fooling me because I'd just be looking over here just when he wanted me to. His timing is what I'm most interested in. I don't do a lot of coins, so David Roth wouldn't be for me. Marlowe, I don't really do a lot of move monkey stuff. In fact, it's just too difficult. And Vernon, his card tricks are nice, but Sly Deeney for me is the absolute man. So without a doubt, Sly Deeney. And one other thing he wrote, which I thought was quite interesting: business cards. All the info, or more mysterious the better. Are they needed at all? If you've got a really good website, then you can use your business cards just to direct people to a website, and that's that way your business card can stay very clean and crisp and mysterious, but all the information is on that card because it is a link. So ideally, I would say a really cool logo. My business card used to be black on black, so you could barely see it. And then there was just a website on there, and that was also in black on black. So it was you could just see it. It's called UV spotting. Kept it enigmatic, but what I always found is the harder someone has to work to find you and your site and stuff, the more they feel like once they finally find you, that they're going to want to book you just because of the effort and time they put into it. So it is a risk. Obviously, some people like to be very much in your face and corporate, and this is they've got quotes and bloody all sorts on their business cards and leaflets and stuff. Personally, I like it to be quite enigmatic, but with a website with all the information. So if you've got a good website, you can have an enigmatic business card. If you're not really a website guy, then let your business card tell all they need to know, and they can do it all from there. Really is up to you. Personally, Enigmatic wins.